I'm Gina Bell, and I'm a storyteller. This is Jars of Arioch, Part 2, Chapter 8, Dr. Bob. Benoit was asleep with Nanny nestled in her arms as we pulled into Gatlinburg. It was a little after 4 a.m. and everything was locked up tight. I parked along the main parkway and got out to stretch my legs, like I had done almost 2 years ago. That night that I watched the black bear walk down the street in front of me seemed like a million years ago now. Hope woke up and bounded out of the car after me. "We're home, baby," I said to her as she leaned in and looked up at me with those big blue-green eyes of hers. I bent down to pet her sides like I always do, and her whole stomach began moving. I bolted back. "Benoit!" I yelled for her.
"What? I'm here. I'm awake. What's happening?"
Nanny flew to Hope and began popping all over the place. I could see her belly moving. It was super freaky. Hope put her head down as if she had done something wrong. I held her tightly and rubbed her head.
"Is she okay?"
Benoit asked. I tapped on her belly and watched the look on Benoit's face change as we watched the same rumble. This must have happened when she was lost. Arioch said she was with him. Oh, fuck! Are you thinking what I'm thinking? We never had dogs, and I haven't been around a ton of pregnant, anythings. But I was there for her first litter. Oh, Jesus, you don't think, do you?
"Chances are she got pregnant by some street dog, Tracy. Maybe it's just a big litter,"
she responded. I reached down and touched her belly softly. I tapped just a wee bit with my fingers, and I could feel them squirming around. I could feel tiny paws pushing against her sides. I needed to get her to a vet immediately. I grabbed my cell phone and dialed Raven. "Are you here?" Raven squealed as she picked up the phone. She didn't sound sleepy at all. "I'm in Gatlinburg. Benoit, Hope, and your mother are with me. We have a situation, Raven."
"We do?"
she asked, questioning me.
"I've been so excited about you guys coming that I couldn't sleep. I keep telling this big, beautiful blue boy about his beautiful blue girlfriend that's coming."
"Is something wrong, Tracy?" Raven asked. "I think it's better if you see it for yourself. We're on our way," I said to Raven. Raven lived in a big, beautiful log cabin in Cobley Knob. That's an area about 20 minutes outside of Gatlinburg, but yet still in Gatlinburg. It's lovely, with much less traffic and tourist stuff. We pulled up to her house and she came out running with a huge blue male pit bull in tow. The second Hope got out of the car, the two ran to greet one another. When they got roughly 20 feet from one another, the male put on the brakes, and he put 'em on hard. It almost seemed as if he was trying to run backwards. Nanny flew directly to her daughter and sat herself on her shoulder. Nanny squealed and chirped and cuddled into her. Raven looked completely shocked by what she was seeing when she looked down at Hope.
"Oh my God, she's already pregnant,"
Raven said. I have no idea how Raven knew, but I can't explain most of the things in my life anymore, so this was the least of the shocking things that would transpire.
"I need to get Dr. Bob on the phone. I can feel the energy coming off of her already. What the hell did she mate with?"
Raven asked. Hope's whippy tail was pounding hard on the ground. She does this when she feels unsure. My dog kept looking up at me. I reached down and pulled her into me. I held her wiggling body and she leaned her nose into my arm. She needed reassurance. She needed to know she hadn't done anything wrong. This happened the one and only time I went somewhere without her. This happened when she was lost, Raven.
I told you never to do that. This changes everything. We have no idea what we're dealing with, Tracy.
I know, and I will never do that again. When she was lost, I asked Arioch where she was, and he answered me. He answered me after I got her back, and all he said was, "With me." Hope's condition was so shocking to Raven. She barely showed any attention to Nanny, and the birds seemed furious. Raven placed her hand on Hope's belly, and I watched the movement as they reacted to her touch also. Raven looked up at me with those big eyes of hers, and the look of worry really scared me. When we all walked into the cabin, we found Raven's dog cowering under a bed. The huge male Pitt had urinated all over himself in fear. I reached down to pet him, and he looked terrified. I could hear Raven in the next room on the phone with her vet. It was a Sunday morning and still very early, but the vet wanted to meet us at his office in Pigeon Forge right away. We all loaded into Raven's Land Rover and drove the short 15-minute drive. Nanny sat on her daughter's shoulder, and I listened as Raven whispered to her mother, little love-yous mixed with words of grief for her mother. It was beautiful to listen to. Raven told her all the things the kids had been up to and about how Dagast had changed the life of the crow and her family. The bird fluffed herself up and cooed slightly into her ear. "You got any Scrabble tiles?" I asked.
Absolutely, Raven answered. Got a few sets to make it easier for her. I'm looking so forward to having a conversation with my mother as soon as we get home.
We pulled into a small parking lot. The vet's office was a converted home. There was only one car in the parking lot. Raven called the vet, and I watched as an older man opened a back door for us and waved. Hope lowered her head a bit as we got out of the car.
She remembers Dr. Bob and all his vaccinations. It's okay, Mama,
Raven said to Hope.
Well, hello, ladies,
said the older man as we walked in. He seemed kind, and Hope knew who he was. She wagged her tail and turned reluctantly in a circle for him.
Hello to you too, Miss Hope. It's so nice to see you again.
The vet did a double take when he noticed the crow on Raven's shoulder.
I've never seen a pet crow. Is that a crow?
The vet asked Raven.
My mother's soul is in the bird, Raven answered.
It's always something different with you, Raven. Always a surprise.
He took Hope's temperature and weight. Hope weighed in at just under 80 pounds.
She's so big for a female,
Dr. Bob said as he felt around her belly, and their dance began. The vet jumped a little.
That's a first. Well, let's get an x-ray.
Dr. Bob took Hope to the back. We all sat quietly in the tiny waiting room. Benoit had been so quiet since arriving in Gatlinburg, and she looked tired. "You okay?" I asked Benoit.
"Oh, just tired, and I got some stuff on my mind."
I nodded my head in acknowledgement. Dr. Bob walked back in with Hope in tow and x-rays. He put them up so we could see them.
There are 3 of them,
Dr. Bob began.
They're very large for their gestation. Could she have mated with a mastiff, or do you have any idea? I'm assuming this happened when she was lost, correct?
The vet asked. I was a little taken aback that the vet knew she had been lost at all.
We have no idea, Doctor,
Raven answered.
I'm a little worried about her ability to deliver them. They're already, I would say, 3 times larger than I would expect them to be. You might want to think about a C-section. For now, try and keep things peaceful for her. Not too much excitement, if you know what I mean.
Yes, whatever you think, Doctor,
Raven answered. Raven gave me a sideways look. I knew she was disappointed in me for leaving hope and allowing this to happen. I also knew there was no way she could be more upset with me than I was with myself. I had a feeling about what had impregnated my dog. I had no idea how it was even possible. Thoughts of my poor Hope mating with one of those devil dogs of Arioch's made me want to throw up. She must have wondered where I was. She's always there to save me, and the one time she needed me, I wasn't there. She put her head on my foot to comfort me. I reached down and stroked her head. It was a quiet drive back to Raven's cabin. Benoit fell asleep, and Raven just drove. After spending time without Hope, I knew I never wanted to do that again. All I know for sure is that I'm scared, and I'm tired of being scared. When we were in New York, I felt like I was getting somewhere. I was feeling confident. The thought of losing Hope and gaining 3 of Arioch's dogs terrifies me. I'm guessing this is why he wants me in Texas. Plenty of room for them to roam. I have no idea what animal control will have to say about this. How would I begin to answer normal everyday questions like, what are they, for example? Too big to be dogs or wolves, and too dog-like to be a big cat. I don't know what they are, but what I do know is that they're at least half something from another world, another dimension. Benoit had to go back to work, but promised to help me settle into my new home in Texas. I spent most of my time with Hope the next few weeks. I watched her belly grow, and I tried to keep her calm. When I put my hands on her sides, I could feel little paws pressing against my palm. I watched her breathe for hours at a time. Her labored breathing from the growing monsters inside her became worse and worse. She got so big she could only go out to go to the bathroom and eat a little. All during those weeks I didn't see or hear anything from Arioch. I didn't dare try to go over into his world during this time. I kept my gloves on 24/7. I didn't take my eyes off of Hope once. I wanted to be right with her in case she needed me. I vowed each day to never let her down again.